Hello, and welcome to another video from 3.5 Archive. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a monster from the Monster Manual 3, the Summoning Ooze. This monster is on page 169 of the Monster Manual 3, and it's a challenge rating 4 creature, although that's an oversimplification of this monster's potential. The Summoning Ooze is a strange creature that can cast summon monster spells inherently as a spell-like ability, not what you'd expect from a reddish blob slithering its way through the dungeon. Today, we're going to be looking at this monster and how to run it properly as a dungeon master because, again, it has a ton of potential, but it can also be extremely disappointing if you aren't prepared to unleash it on your players properly. First, let's look at some basic stats of the monster for some context. The Summoning Ooze is challenge rating 4, with a 17 armor class and 42 hit points. That is a fantastic AC for an ooze, which normally is an armor class in the single digits. It doesn't seem like it has that many hit points for an ooze, as it's less than a gelatinous cube's 54 hit points at challenge rating 3, but it has more hit points than a gray ooze, which is also a challenge rating 4, as the gray ooze only has 31 hit points. That said, challenge rating 3.5 of course is a loose thing, but it is important to note that this creature has strong stats, aside from its other abilities. An experienced D&D 3.5 player playing a fighter will run up to an ooze and, so long as it isn't a black pudding or ochre jelly, slash away with a huge power attack from his greatsword. While a party of 4 fighters is pretty rare, a group of 4 level 1 fighters with +1 greatswords and full power attack against a gray ooze would kill it in a single round, and on average before the ooze even got a chance to react, as well as they would all have a 95% chance to hit. The Summoning Ooze has improved initiative and a good armor class for its level, so a canny dungeon master can be more cunning with this monster than a normal ooze, especially since you can justify it by the creature having a 10 intelligence, again very unusual for an ooze. The ooze can summon a monster as a standard action, which is faster than the spell normally can be cast. This gives the ooze a huge advantage over normal summoners, since summon monster usually takes a full round to cast and thus is extremely easy to interrupt. This does give it more tactical flexibility, but a Summoning Ooze summoning one monster at a time will find it is simply feeding the player's kills and wasting its action. The ooze's own attacks aren't that strong, so it needs to be able to rely on multiple summoned creatures. Thus, it needs to rely on its senses and stealth to make sure that it can start summoning creatures before combat begins. The Summoning Ooze can summon a number of hit dice of creatures equal to twice its own hit dice per day, at least according to these somewhat vaguely worded rules here. This means it could summon up to 10 dire rats if you're using the base Summoning Ooze with 5 hit dice and access to Summon Monster 1. Each of these rats would come with an extra +2 to hit and +2 to damage, though not in the case of the dire rat since it has weapon finesse and thus uses dexterity to attack, but the damage buff would still apply and it would have 2 extra hit points as well. It would hit as a slightly tougher goblin, arguably giving it a challenge rating of roughly 1/2. This would mean that the Summoning Ooze, in order to present an encounter level of 4, would need 8 of these enhanced rats total. Keep in mind that level 4 is one level before Fireball comes into play, and there are many second level area of effect spells that are pretty strong as well and could wipe out a group of these rats. Less powerful creatures do not add up to their supposed encounter level as effectively as the rules claim. Still, summoning is a powerful option, and one that the Summoning Ooze should bring to bear as much as possible. Spell-like abilities do not require any verbal components, so the ooze can supposedly summon creatures silently while it detects a threat approaching. Of course, a Summoning Ooze would not want to waste its precious summons on a false threat, so it needs at least some confirmation that its enemy really is a threat to it. Thus, it'll rely heavily on its +9 to listen, as well as its +5 to move silently. With a climb speed of 10 feet, this creature could definitely hide in nooks and crannies and summon monsters to send after the characters. But once it does encounter them, it would be wise to join its summoned allies in melee as a force multiplier to try to finish the job. It can easily be sneaked up on, however, even with its blind sight of 30 feet, so dungeon corridors with many small rooms in close proximity, separated by doors, make for an ideal area for the Summoning Ooze to lurk. Keep in mind the distance-related penalties for listen checks, including those for doors, and keep in mind the ooze's blind sight ability. This will give it advantage at allowing it to detect the player characters before they detect it. As a result, it can summon a decent number of monsters before combat begins. And to that end, what should a Summoning Ooze summon? We looked at the dire rats, but surely there are better options. Well, the question isn't that simple. There isn't just one kind of Summoning Ooze, as the creature can be advanced up to 15 hit dice, gaining a new tier of summon monster every 2 hit dice, alongside an automatic +1 to its challenge rating, in place of the +1 per 4 hit die for a normal ooze advancement by hit dice, which would not be suitable here. This caps at Summon Monster 6, which makes for a truly terrifying, huge-sized Summoning Ooze, summoning the likes of Chain Devils and Chaos Beasts. Let's start with the default 5 hit die Summoning Ooze though. What should it summon? For a Fiendish option, the Dire Rat is fairly strong. That said, even a level 4 character will likely easily dispose of Dire Rats, even if you summon 10 of them. Fiendish Hawks with a mix of good armor class and good to hit bonuses stand a good chance of harrying foes of the Summoning Ooze. With plus 4 strength from Augment Summoning, they deal flat D4 damage. The Giant Fire Beetle will be attacking for plus 3 for 2d4 plus 3 damage. This will be a Celestial one, but that might be worth it when at level 1 the bonus damage from Smite Good or Smite Evil just isn't that high. For a 7 hit dice Summoning Ooze, Lemure Devils are decent for their damage reduction, though Coyote, who can throw out Rays of Enfeeblement, are also really good. A mix of the two, the former for frontline damage absorption and the latter to debuff and degrade foes, is decent. A Summoning Ooze could have 7 Lemures protecting it at the start of a fight, or 5 Lemures plus a couple of Coyote to weaken the party fighter. Let's skip ahead and look at the 15 hit die Summoning Ooze. This is a challenge rating 9 creature that can cast Summon Monster 6, with a total of 30 hit dice a creature summoned per day. With that in mind, it could summon 3 Chain Devils, who have an encounter level of 9 by themselves. The Summoning Ooze itself will not have very strong melee attacks, but it doesn't need them. It'll have roughly 160 hit points, so even with a weak armor class, it'll be quite able to survive at challenge rating 9 for a decent number of rounds in combat. Even so, its fast healing will not increase, so it'll have to be much more conservative with its hit points, relatively speaking. Even with an average 10 intelligence, the Ooze should be smart enough to know when to retreat. It moves slowly, so it should do so proactively. A Summoning Ooze that summons creatures before slinking away to its hidden lair could harass the players for several days. It helps even more if you design your dungeon to have verticality, where the Ooze can use its climb speed to stay out of reach. Many characters can fly by level 9, but likely not the entire party, and pursuing the Ooze might become difficult. With almost 200 hit points, the Ooze can afford to survive a round or two of ranged fire, even from powerful spells from the player's Wizard and Cleric and Warlock. The most difficult part of running the Summoning Ooze, besides having all those different books open, is altering all of them on the fly with the Ooze's Augment Summoning bonus feat. It might be helpful to write down the derived bonuses from that feat before you run the monster, so that you can easily apply the stat changes on the fly. Remember, add +2 to the monster's melee attack rolls and melee damage rolls, give it +2 on fortitude saves, and give it extra hit points equal to twice its hit dice. It's that easy. There are some other bonuses as well, but those are the main ones you'll need to worry about. These buffs also drastically improve the summon monster's viability. Remember that if a monster has a two-handed weapon or a single natural attack, such as a bite and nothing else, add another +1 to that melee damage. If it has secondary attacks, only give +1 to those, not +2. That way you can run these monsters on the fly without having to take the time to make major stat adjustments and slowing down your game. The Summoning Ooze is a great monster that combines the power of summoning as a magical strategy in D&D with the weird and experimental mindset that D&D 3.5's creators took to filling out its monster manuals. The Summoning Ooze is a strange monster that requires a lot of prep work to run, but it can make for an excellent and memorable encounter, or even a series of them, if you're clever enough with it. So that'll be about it for this look at the Summoning Ooze and how to run it. Please let me know if you like these Monster Spotlight videos, and there will be more of them soon to come. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time here on 3.5 Archive.